Hello everyone, I'm back. Had a bit of a quieter day yesterday. I just picked all my daffodils and gave them to people for Easter, which was nice. So today I'm just going to plant up a couple of bags of potatoes to grow, mainly because people are getting very keen and they're sort of all raring to go with their potatoes. We've been chitting our potatoes. That means putting them in a warm place to let little shoots grow on them. These are still quite small. When I looked it up on the RHS website, they said let those grow to an inch in height before you pot them up. But anyway, I've got so many that I'm just going to do them in a bit of a sequence. But I know people have been asking me about doing them. So I've already planted some up which are out in my front garden in a grow bag like this, a potato growing bag. And I've put some of what are called my first early potatoes in there. These are these big ones. These are proper bought seed potatoes, so they're certified virus free. But we also pinched some of my little Charlotte salad potatoes out the fridge and we put those on the windowsill. And these are the ones, just little dinky ones, and they're the ones I'm going to sow now. And what I'm going to do with these is put them in just in a compost bag. But before I do that, I'm just going to talk a little bit quickly about temperature, because when the sun shines, it's very easy to think, oh, you know, summer's nearly here. But I've just brought some of my compost, so that I'm just showing you here the air temperature in here in the stove house is 15 degrees. It's quite warm. In fact, I've come in here because it's a horrible cold wind out there. It's making me really grumpy being outside. So I decided to come in the warm, and I'm just burying that probe in there because I'm interested to see. So this is some of my homemade leaf mould, complete with dead snail, that I've got from out in one of my builder's bags. So we started off at 15 degrees, which was the room temperature, and it's falling. So it's already down to 12 degrees, and I'm going to just leave it there to see how low it goes. Because one of the things that's quite important early in the year is that we can get keen to do things, and we go and we put stuff in, you know, and then we're all just a bit disappointed if it doesn't grow. Part of that is, if we go off a bit too early with it, sometimes if the soil isn't warm enough, it's actually counterproductive. It's better to hold your horses for a week or two and just give the soil a chance to warm up. But anyway, just whilst that's working out what its temperature is, I've turned this bag. This is a compost bag, black one, nice and strong. Okay, so what I've done is I've turned it inside out and rolled the top down, so it's got its pattern on the inside. Now there's a reason for that. My friend Chrissy, who is the chronicler of the Beaumaris Allotment Society, and therefore an extremely knowledgeable person, messaged me and said, yes, I turn the compost bag inside out and I plant the potatoes in there. So I've written to her, because ever since then it's been puzzling me. Is there a reason for turning them inside out, or is it just because it looks nicer? I don't know. So I'll let you know when I find out. But in the meantime, I've done as she suggested, and I've turned it inside out, and I've rolled the bag down, because this is a tall bag, so I've rolled it down to make a collar. Because the important thing about potatoes is you start low down. With almost anything else that you plant on the surface of the soil, and the thing finds its way down with roots. But it's the opposite way round in a way with potatoes. You put the potato down at the bottom, and then as the leaves start to grow, you add more soil and add more soil, just leaving the tops of the leaves poking out. And that's called earthing up. So by doing them in the bag like this, we're going to ensure we get as good a crop as possible. So let's have a look. 10 degrees. Well, 10 degrees is probably all right. But I can tell you that this actually feels cold. But I'm going to use it. But what I would say to you is, if you've got any seed sowing, so that's just 10 degrees, this this compost, which is out of a builder's bag because it's some that I made myself. It's quite old now, it's a couple of years old. 10 degrees will probably be all right, but if you were going to sow anything or plant anything, it's always worth bringing your whatever you're going to sow into indoors. If you can, bring it into a sheltered place, even if it's taking it a bucket full into the house where you're doing your sowing, your plant sowing, just to get it to room temperature, because it'll make all the difference. If you water with tap cold water and you put them into a bag of cold compost that's been standing in a dark corner somewhere, then that's all too cold and it's just going to not get your plants off to a flying start, which is what you want. So in this bag I've got about 3 or 4 inches of soil, and I'm simply going to just I'm putting 3 potatoes in here, making a little bit of a sort of triangular shape with the little shoots uppermost, and then all I'm going to do is just cover them over. That's all. It's not difficult. Just stand them in there and cover them over. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make some holes in the bottom of the bag because it needs to let the water drain out. They will rot if it doesn't drain away. You don't want a swamp in the bottom of the bag, and we don't want any soggy bottoms. So that is it. It's a very simple thing. Probably the most difficult bit is getting your potatoes to start sprouting. And all I'm going to do, I'm not going to put that straight outside. I wanted to try and speed it up, so I'm going to leave it here in the warm. But if you are putting them outside, try and put them in a sunny space. And I've been thinking there's a lot of kind of traditional things that I'd have done before. I'd have hidden things out of view a bit, really. You know, things that I regarded as not so attractive to look at. I'd have liked my nice pots of bulbs, but I've tucked the compost bin out of sight, and the out of sight invariably means somewhere cold and dark. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm having much more success now with my compost, because I put it in the hottest spot in the front garden. So that's it. There's my little potatoes. That's all I'm going to do today. But I've got loads more to sow. So I've got some of the Arran Pilot First Earlies, which are in the potato growing bag out the front. And then I've got these little new potatoes. So we'll keep an eye on them, see how it goes. But if you're going to do some, why not give it a go? And you don't have to do everything all at once, because in a way you want to stagger your production, your crop in the future. So see you soon. Bye.